Good to see everyone today. And yeah, as always, we thank the Pittsburgh North Regional Chamber for having these meetings so that even in COVID times, we can get together and chat as much as possible. So we're really happy about that we can still see each other. As always, just remember, keep yourselves muted unless you're talking so there's no feedback. And yeah, I'm going to turn it over to Heather.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. We have a fabulous presenter today, and I just want to make everyone aware that we are recording this presentation. So if you need to keep yourself muted or shut your camera off at any point, I'm just giving you a heads up as we get started. We are excited to announce a new chamber twist on an old event. We have rebranded our business after hours as Connections for a Cause. And for the time being, any money that we collect as an entrance fee, normally it's $10 for members to attend, $20 for non-members to attend, and that money just goes right back in to the general fund for the chamber. But we are giving that money back to the restaurant for the time being. So on March 9th, we are having I'm so sorry about that. We are having a Connections for a Cause at Dented Keg Brewery. So if you have never been there before, please join us. It is located in Seven Fields. The food is fantastic. They will be putting out some individual appetizers for your entrance fee as well. And we're planning these. You'll notice that the times are going to be different for each of these Connections for a Cause chamber happy hours, because we are planning them during the happy hour pricing for the attendees that come. So for Dented Cake Brewing, it will be from 5 to 7, but then we've also have one scheduled on the 31st at Cranberry Sports Grill, and their happy hour time is very interestingly 4:12 to 6:30. So we've advertised it as 4:30 to 6:30, but if you want to get there early at 4:12, please join us. We'll make sure we're there as well. So that's exciting. You can register for both of those on our website.
When was the first date, Heather?
So the first date is March 9th at Dented Keg from 5 to 7. And then March 31st at Cranberry Sports Grill from 4:30 to 6:30 or 4:12.
And these are chamber sponsored events.
I'm sorry, what?
I totally missed it. Are they chamber sponsored events?
Yeah, so basically they're sponsored by Community Bank, but all of the money that we collect as entrance fee is going to the restaurant. So you'll be able to come, network, have some appetizers, drink from happy hour pricing, and then that money is going back to the restaurant as well. So we're excited to help partner with our local restaurants and help them. Marketplace lunch meeting tomorrow. Debbie, do you want to say a few words about that?
Sure. We're having our meeting again at Buffalo Wild Wings this month on Route 8. We certainly hope all of you will sign up. I think we have 8 people already, so it should be a good meeting. And we are going to be changing locations. So make sure that you're looking at where the lunch is every month, because we are going to be moving to Panera to give them, since they're chamber members, a chance to host the lunch at, that location. So we're trying some different places out, and hope to all see you all there. Graders is actually going to be giving us free ice cream tomorrow again. So we're excited about that. They had a nice selection for us the last time. So come at 11:30, Buffalo Wild Wings on Route 8 tomorrow.
Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate that. And Monica, I'm going to give you a moment if you would like to talk about your upcoming lunchbox session next week, Wednesday, March 10th. From 12 to 1. Keep in mind, this is free for chamber members, free educational programming, and $10 for non-members. But Monica, do you want to talk a little bit about your lunchbox session?
Thank you. Yes, I will be presenting next week on all of the benefits of living a healthy, holistic lifestyle. So we'll have a lot of fun tips, tricks, and takeaways that you can implement right away. And I'm going to touch on this injury that I'm currently suffering with today. Even living that lifestyle, we're still susceptible to many, many things. So it is so, so important to take care of yourself, you guys, because if you don't have your health, you do not have anything. And I witnessed that the past week, and I don't want anyone to go through that. So hopefully you can join me next week. Woo woo.
Thank you so much. And then just finally, I want to give you a reminder that a free member benefit with your chamber membership is adding a member news or member deal. So keep in mind that around the 15th of the month, every month, we blast out an email to all active reps in our database with your business information member deals. So they're free. It's free to add. All you have to do is log in with your chamber credentials, add a member deal. I would do it probably before the 12th of the month just to be safe. Make sure it's in that publication. So keep that in mind. And member news can be added at any time. Make sure your business name is in the title of both of those for added business exposure. Member news, anytime it shows up in our Monday morning coffee and it's on our website. And then I think that's it. Danielle?
Thanks, Heather. So we're really lucky today because we have an awesome speaker, and our speaker is going to be Steve Meredith, and I'm going to read his bio before we jump into anything. So let me pull that up. Okay. Steve joined the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission in 2019 after serving as a congressional aide for 7 years. In his role as the Commission's business finance manager, Steve helps small businesses finance, startup, and expansion activities. Steve helped the Southwestern Pennsylvania small business community access over $850,000 in COVID-19 working capital access funds from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Additionally, Steve helped author the framework that created SPC's COVID-19 Recovery Loan Program and helped the region's small businesses access more than $750,000 in assistance from that program. Steve holds an Associate Procurement Professional Certificate from the Association of Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, a Verification Assistance Counselor Certificate from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, and a bachelor's degree in music with a Pennsylvania Education Certificate from Seton Hill University. He lives in Monroeville, PA with his wife, Kelly, and his son, Preston.
All right. Hello, everybody. How are you? You don't have to answer. I know everybody's muted. Everybody's great, right? Just give me a thumbs up, right? Okay, so thank you very much for the introduction. My presentation today, I'm going to share my screen, is entitled Financing Your Business with SPC, How to Get Started and What to Expect. And if you don't mind, I'm actually going to shut off my video because I get very distracted by the man in the corner that's always talking while I'm presenting, and how rude, until I realize that it's me. So I'm just going to turn off my video and then you can see my screen here. All right. So financing your business with SPC. So this is really meant to be an overview of SPC's loan programs. But in addition to that overview, I will also be talking about specific financing options designed to help businesses recover from the effects of COVID-19. Before we dive into SPC's business finance program, however, I want to talk a little bit about what SPC is as an organization. We wear a lot of different hats. We're the region's planning agency. We're a metropolitan planning organization. We're a local development district, and we're a partner for regional economic performance. So basically, we are the financial stewards for a lot of different pots of government money. We're essentially responsible for all state and federal transportation and economic development funding that has been allocated to this region. And from an economic development perspective, SPC helps the region's small businesses grow and prosper, and in COVID times, sustain their operations as well. So what does SPC's loan program do? Well, we help small for-profit businesses finance startup operations and business expansion. We fund land or building acquisitions or construction or renovation projects. We also fund machinery or equipment purchases. And then we also have working capital to businesses that are unable to fully finance projects. Now, I want to give a little bit deeper explanation of our working capital loans, because our working capital loans are used in conjunction with a land or building acquisition or a machinery or equipment purchase. For example, let's say that you own a print shop and you print business cards and stationery and all manner of paper products. And then one day you decide that you want to move into printing t-shirts and hats and clothing. You're going to need a piece of equipment to carry out the screen printing aspect of that line of business. So you can take a loan with SPC to purchase that piece of equipment. And then you can take a working capital loan from SPC to train your staff on how to use that piece of equipment. Similarly, if you are purchasing a building, if let's say you are a brand new business owner and your business has just exploded over the last year or so, and whatever widget, whatever object, whatever good or service that you provide, if you provide goods, you've got so much inventory that working out of your apartment or working out of your house is just no longer a viable solution. You can take an SPC loan to purchase a building that you're going to use as a warehouse. And then you can also use working capital to fill that warehouse with your inventory. You can purchase the inventory that's going to fill the warehouse to sort of streamline your operations a little bit. So that's how working capital works under a traditional sense. You know, it is used in conjunction with either a land building, construction renovation, or machinery or equipment purchase. Now, before we go much further into this presentation, I do want to mention that as with any other lending institution, the determination as to whether or not SPC's lending solutions are right for you must be done on a case-by-case basis via one-on-one meetings with prospective borrowers. So after the presentation, if you're interested in taking advantage of SPC's loan products, I would welcome you to use this opportunity to have a discussion with me, and we can determine if SPC is the right lender for your business. So moving right along. Loan interest rates and terms. This is one of the major reasons why people choose SPC over a traditional lender. We have very competitive interest rates and very favorable terms. In fact, the interest rates right now are between 0% and 4%, and they are fixed not only at the time of approval, but throughout the life of the loan. And from a term perspective, the land and building loans, if it's a straight land or building loan, we can offer up to a 15-year term. Machinery or equipment loans, we can offer a 7 to 10-year term. And a working capital loan is usually a 1 to 3-year term. Now, let's say for the sake of argument, you are combining the types of purchases that you're taking with this loan. Let's say you're buying a building and then you're also purchasing equipment for your business. Well, in that case, we would blend the term. But this slide actually blends together with the next slide because our loan terms are heavily dependent on the term of the loan from a private bank. That is because one of the loan program requirements states that SPC is not allowed to fully fund your project. We have to have a private financing match from you in the source of equity or from a private bank. It's usually a combination of the two. So the way that our loans are structured, typically, when a borrower comes to SPC for a loan, the first thing I will ask for them to do is, can you bring 10% equity to the total project? Okay, what is your total project cost? And can you put 10% of the total project cost towards the deal? Okay, and if the answer is yes, then that's great, right? And then what we do is the remaining total project cost is split 50-50 between SPC and a private bank. So what you end up with is two separate loans, one from SPC and one from a private bank that's going to basically piece together and fund the project completely, okay? Now, the second bullet, we don't offer unsecured loans, so we do need collateral. From a collateral perspective, oftentimes, in fact, in all cases, the asset that is being financed is used as collateral. So if you're purchasing a piece of equipment, we're going to take a lien on that piece of equipment. If you're purchasing a building, we're going to ask you to take a mortgage on that building, okay? Now, in the event that you may be what's known as short on collateral, and that's a big finance term, that's basically meaning that you don't have enough collateral to fully secure the loan, we may ask you for personal and corporate guarantees. Can you personally guarantee the loan? Do you have any other assets that can be used as collateral? If you do, that's great. If you have a house that you can put up as collateral, we'll certainly take that. We'll take pretty much any asset that you have and you can use it as collateral. There are two assets that we cannot use as collateral, and that is we cannot hold your vehicle as collateral because we're not allowed to take the title on the vehicle. We're not allowed to hold the title, and we're not allowed to take your retirement either. So don't offer your retirement as collateral either. It's just generally a good practice not to offer your retirement as collateral for any loan. So I would counsel you not to do that under any circumstance, but we're certainly not allowed to take it as a piece of collateral for us. And then finally, this fourth bullet here, there is an economic development component that accompanies our loan program. And that basically says that by the end of the first 3 years of your loan term, you must either retain one job for every $35,000 borrowed or create one job for every $50,000 borrowed. And now we have some flexibility with this requirement. So if you come to me and you say, I'm not really looking to expand my business, I just want to hold on to the employees that I have, well, then we can focus your deal on retaining employees. If you are thinking of creating jobs in the next 3 years, if you're purchasing maybe an ice cream franchise, or maybe you want to purchase a building to expand your ice cream franchise, and you want to add 4 or 5 new jobs at the new location, that's great. We can focus on the job creation requirement in that instance as well. So that's the economic development component. Now, before we move forward, you'll notice here that I have a couple of asterisks by this first bullet point, this matching financing, okay? The asterisks are in place because right now, due to COVID-19, you could qualify to have up to 80% of your project's total cost financed by SPC, okay? So, for instance, if your total project cost is $100,000, you could qualify for right now, because of COVID-19, you could qualify to have an $80,000 loan from SPC towards that project, provided you can prove through financial statements that you suffered a downturn due to COVID-19. Now, the trick with this is, if we are providing anything above 50% of the total project cost, you as the business owner will have to bring the remaining project cost to the deal in equity. So let's take that $100,000 example. Let's say your total project cost is $100,000. You want to qualify for 80% of that to be covered by SPC. We could give you an $80,000 loan as long as you can provide the remaining $20,000 in equity from the business or cash. Okay. Now, so it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, right? You have to have the cash on hand to complete the deal, but at the same time, you don't have to search for a private bank to provide that matching financing. Okay. Now, this variance, what we're calling, is in effect from now until May 6th of 2021. Okay, and the interest rate set under this variance is at 2.75%. Okay, so moving right along, and I think we have a couple of questions in the chat. I will be happy to get to them at the end of the presentation. But moving right along, so application requirements. Okay, SPC provides the loan application, and the applicant has to complete all applicable sections, right? There are some additional requirements when you submit your application, some additional pieces of paperwork that we're going to need. Okay, we're going to need company financial statements. We're going to need business and personal tax returns. We'll need commitment letters from all other funding sources. Sufficient cash flow to meet the debt service. That's again another big finance term. Any bank that you go to is going to look to see that you have the cash flow in your business to meet the debt service. That's whether you go to SPC, that's whether you go to Dollar Bank, that's whether you go to PNC, whoever you may bank with. That's a universal truth of lending. Okay, and then key person life insurance if applicable. if applicable. In the event that a business still has a corporate officer that might be in his 70s or 80s, or her 70s or 80s, that hasn't really retired, maybe they're just planning to work for the rest of their lives, that's where the key person life insurance may come into play. If you don't have succession plans, we would take that key person life insurance, but we would only collect on that key person life insurance policy in the event of that person's death. Okay. Now, one quick note here. I say here 3 years worth of company financial statements for the past 3 years of personal and business tax returns. I could foresee there being a question in somebody's mind saying, well, my business hasn't been in operation for 3 years. What do I do then? In that case, if you haven't been in business for 3 years, we will need a copy of your business plan and 3 years worth of business financial projections, which you can work on with your local small business development center. And I can connect you with either the Pitt or Duquesne SBDCs, or if you prefer to work with the St. Vincent Small Business Development Center, I can connect you with them as well. Okay. So moving right along. Loan application process. So how do you actually apply for an SBC loan, right? So as I mentioned earlier in the presentation here, before I send you an application, we need to have a one-on-one discussion with you and me to talk about your business's financing needs, okay? And basically what I'm gonna ask is, can you provide the 10% equity that we need, okay? Do you have a breakdown of the total project cost? If so, that's great. How long have you been in business? If it's less than 3 years, can I have a copy of your business plan? Can I have a copy of your projections? Things of that such nature. And after we have that application, and once I get that breakdown of your costs, then what I do is I say, okay, it's time to rope in a private bank to provide the matching financing. Okay. And what I usually say is, whomever you bank with from a business relationship perspective, reach out to them first and ask if they would be willing to come in on the deal with SPC. Now, the answer may be yes, the answer may be no. If the answer is no, don't panic, okay? Because we have banks that we work with on a regular basis that we can try to structure the financing with one of those banks to try to make the deal work with one of those banks. So if your business bank says, no, they want to take too much of our collateral, we don't want to work with them, don't fret. We can work out the financing with another financing institution that SPC works with on a regular basis, okay? Now, after we get the financing sort of structure in place, with the private financing, coming from a private bank, and you providing the equity, what I'll do is I'll send you the application, and I will work with you to complete the application as much or as little as possible. Sometimes the application can be a little bit daunting to applicants. Sometimes people jump in with both feet and they just go and they fill it out, right? If you want me to work with you to fill out the application, we can do a Zoom meeting, we can do a screen share. If you're comfortable enough with me coming to your business and we can sit down together and fill out the application together, whatever you're comfortable with, I'm happy to do, okay? But once we have the application in and we have all of that supplemental documentation we talked about at the previous slide, once all of that is in, I send it over to my loan analyst. His name is Todd Stranko. He's going to underwrite the loan, and he may reach out to you if he has any questions that he needs answered from you that might need clarification. It's not a big deal. It's actually commonplace for a lot of our applicants. He may reach out to you and say, hey, can you explain your earnings from 2019 or your earnings from 2020? What happened here? Things like that. After our loan analyst underwrites the loan is then presented to the appropriate committees for approval. And once approved, the closing occurs with SPC's business loan servicer. And closing can occur usually within about 8 days of the loan being approved. It all depends on our attorney's schedule in terms of how fast he can turn around the loan application documents, or the loan legal documents rather. But we can usually close a loan pretty quick after it closes, okay? And you will also work with SPC's business loan servicer. Her name is Sarah Francis, for the closing and throughout the repayment period. Both Sarah and Todd are excellent what they do. So, if you take a loan with us, you'll have a great relationship with both of them throughout the life of the loan. There are a couple of fees that accompany our loan program. One is an application fee that is equivalent to 1% of the loan amount that is due at the time of submission of the application, okay? And then secondly, there is an annual servicing fee that is due on the anniversary of your loan closing. That is equivalent to half of 1% of the outstanding principal. So if you think about it, as your principal balance goes down, your annual servicing fee will go down, okay? There is one asterisk that I have here though, and I want to make sure that I mention this to you so that I'm completely transparent. We do ask our applicants to sign a fee schedule form at the time that they submit their application. This is because we are not able to release the liens on any of the collateral that you offer to secure an SPC loan until you pay our annual outstanding servicing fee, okay? I had a case last year where a client came to me, he paid off his loan, and then we sent him an invoice for the servicing fee, and he came back to me and he said, hey, wait a minute, what gives? I thought I paid this off. And I told him, I said, yes, you did pay off your principal, but we have an annual servicing fee that we need you to pay off before we can release the lien on any of the collateral. And the reason why he needed collateral back is because he was looking to go for another loan from another financial institution. Final bullet point here, no prepayment penalty. This is huge, guys. This is the third big reason that people come to us for a loan, okay? We had a client back in the fall. He had a couple of great months, even despite of COVID. And he said, hey, I have a $161,000 balance that's due to be paid off over the next 7 years. Can I just pay it off now? Because I have the cash now. We said, absolutely. We gave him payoff amount. He paid off his basically 7-year loan in a week's time, and there was no prepayment penalty for him. So that's a huge, huge benefit to our business clients. So these slides now conclude the expansion loan overview of our loan products. What I'm about to introduce to you now is our COVID-19 recovery loan program. This was mentioned in the introduction. We do still have a little bit of money left in our COVID-19 recovery loan program. Borrowers can apply for up to a $50,000 loan with no matching financing requirement. This is a straight $50,000 loan from SPC. It is a 0% interest loan for the life of the loan, which is a 3-year term. Okay. Furthermore, there are no payments due for the first 6 months. Okay, it's a 6-month grace period. Okay, and proceeds can be used for payroll, rent and utilities, and inventory purchases. Okay, now to determine the amount of money that you're eligible for, SPC will need to review profit and loss and balance sheets showing payroll, rent and utilities, and inventory purchases for the 3-month period prior to the onset of the pandemic. Okay, that's December 2019, January 2020, or February 2020. That seems like eons ago, but it was really only about a year or so ago, a little more than a year ago. Okay, the reason why we have this requirement, the reason why we have to view those sheets, okay, is because when we take this loan to our loan review committee, we need to be able to say to them, listen, this business was profitable prior to COVID, and if it weren't for COVID-19, they still would be profitable. Okay, if you're a startup that just started operations in 2019, maybe June of 2019, and you didn't make a profit before COVID hit, it's going to be very, very difficult for us to prove to our loan review committee that COVID is the sole reason for your downturn. So that's why we have to view those statements. One final note here: if you took a PPP or an EIDL loan, make sure that you have completely exhausted the proceeds from those loans before applying for a COVID-19 recovery loan. This is because our COVID-19 recovery loan program is funded through the CARES Act. And the CARES Act, one of the legal stipulations that is in the CARES Act, states that you cannot use the proceeds from a PPP loan and a COVID-19 recovery loan to pay for the same expenses at the same period of time, okay? So if you took a PPP loan for payroll back in the fall of 2020, but that money was fully exhausted by December of 2020, you can take a COVID-19 recovery loan to pay for payroll in March, April, and May of 2021. That's allowed, just so long as you're not paying payroll from PPP now and plan to pay for payroll from a COVID-19 recovery loan now. Okay, you can't double dip. That's what the government calls double dipping. Okay, so that concludes the bulk of my presentation. I do want to plug an upcoming event that is open to any small business owner in Southwestern Pennsylvania. Any small business owner operating in Southwestern Pennsylvania. On March 16th, 2021 at 1 p.m., we're going to have a virtual event called Building Economic Resiliency, a small business discussion and forum. Okay, this event is designed to hear from small businesses about their current needs and expected future needs. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to inform SPC's products or service offerings and align them with what the business community needs moving forward. Okay, so we have a registration link here. We also have a pre-event survey that we would love for you to fill out. Okay, because this is going to give us a baseline for where businesses are before we head into the event. And then if you wouldn't mind, if you have social media pages, if you want to share the promotional video that we have, there's the YouTube link for that. We would love for you to help get the word out. But right now we're up to about 70 to 75 participants, which is awesome. And basically the way it's going to be organized is we'll do a brief overview of SPC's services in the beginning, but then we're going to transition to outbreak sessions, okay, breakout sessions, excuse me. One's going to be focused on, okay, who needs business financing? Another might be focusing on who needs government procurement assistance. Another might be focusing on who needs export assistance or who needs assistance marketing their business to new customers or things of that such nature. So, and what it's going to be is we're going to ask you for feedback, okay? So I would say make sure you have access to at least a microphone. If you want to call in from your cell phone, that's fine. If you have a webcam with a microphone, that's great. But just make sure you have a microphone or at least a keyboard, some way that you can share your feedback with us so that we can review it and make it part of the discussion. We want this event to be as collaborative and as interactive as possible, okay? And with that, I will leave you with my contact information. The number that I have here, this 412-391-5590, extension 325, that is my office line. As you can see today, I will turn on my video again. Today, I am in the office. That is not true for every day of the week. I usually work in the office Monday and Tuesday, and then I work from home Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So the best way to get a hold of me is probably via email. And then I always ask for my anybody that attends a presentation to please connect with me on LinkedIn, because I love meeting new businesses via that social network and facilitating conversation that way. And with that, I'm going to open up the chat bar and I'm going to see if we have any questions for from anybody. Scott Hacker, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. No lender is allowed to take retirement assets as collateral. Thank you for that clarification. The SPC is just the same. And then it looks like we have a couple of plugs from some of the other participants for their businesses and their contact information. So if anybody has any questions for me that you think would benefit the entire group here, feel free to unmute yourself and or put it in the chat, whatever you want to do. And I'd be happy to have a conversation now.
Steve, hi, this is CG Hoya. Question on the COVID-19 program. Does the business have to show a certain percentage decrease in their revenues to qualify?
No certain decrease in revenues. Just show us that you were profitable prior to COVID-19. And then, you know, we'll take a look at those profit and loss and those balance sheets from, 2018, 2019, things like that. But there's no certain percentage that you have to qualify for, no.
And under that program, is the loan also secured through assets, or how does that work?
The loan is going to be secured through a blanket lien on all business assets. that you have. And then I believe the other guarantee that we have is a personal guarantee from any borrower that has 20% or larger stake in the business.
And then how does a business prove they've exhausted all PPP funds?
So basically, it's a great question, right? So basically what we're trying to do is just, we're trying to help you cover your butt, right? And that's the nice way of putting it, right? So what we're going to ask you to do is provide us with a letter saying, this is, so to whom it may concern, or dear Steve Meredith, or dear SPC, my XYZ business received a PPP or an EIDL loan on X date 2020, excuse me. The loan was used to pay for these expenses from X date to X date. And finally, the PPP or an EIDL loan was fully exhausted on X date 2020 or X date 2021. It's one of those things where we will keep that letter on file in case our federal funder comes and asks for it, but there's no piece of documentation or receipts or anything that you have to put forth other than that letter to us, basically stating this is when it was awarded, this is what we used it to pay for, this is when the funds were exhausted.
Typically, are you using debt service ratios to calculate, or do you just say, hey, the P&I on the loan is whatever, $1,000 a month? Is the business kicking off $1,000 a month? Is it that simple, or do you use traditional bank debt service ratios? We tried to make it as simple as possible. I mean, our underwriter will take a look at the debt service coverage ratio and let you know, if you really don't have the debt service coverage ratio to cover it. But, most of the time with most of the applications that we've received, the applicant has had the debt service coverage ratio to cover it. Only in the event that we're dealing with a startup that hasn't been profitable prior to COVID, we'll basically say, you don't have the money there to support this kind of debt. There have been businesses that have been sort of legacy businesses that have been open for 2 or 3 decades that, even if they had, maybe they didn't have the greatest 2019, but if we can take a look at their 2017 and 2018 taxes and profit and financials, and we see that they were strong as early as 2017 or 2018, we may be able to take a look and say, I understand you had a down year, but based on the 2 previous years, it looks like you were pretty strong, and you've been in business for a long time, so you've definitely proven your concept. We would still be able to most likely give that loan to you. Here's a quick aside that I tell all clients that I deal with. I basically don't believe that we have a good loan until my loan analyst comes back to me and says, yeah, this is good, right? Because what we don't want to do is send a loan to our loan review committee where we have really any doubt that it may fail, right? So if my loan analyst comes to me and says, hey, listen, I don't think the borrower should take this loan. I don't think we're going to probably get this back. Then what I will do is either I or he will reach out to the borrower and say, hey, listen, you don't have the debt service coverage ratio to cover this, and taking a look at your business financials, maybe they've been in business for 10 years, but they've had down years for the last 5. We're going to have some major concerns there. But if you've been a legacy business that's been in business for 30 years, maybe you didn't do as good in 2019 as possible, but you still were profitable prior to COVID, then I believe you would qualify for the loan. I realize that's a very long-winded answer, and I apologize for that, but hopefully that answers everything. Clear as mud? Good.
Thank you, Steve. That was a ton of great information. And I just want to jump in and say that I'll include those links in your presentation, and also your contact information in the recap email that I send out to all registered attendees for this meeting.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm happy to reach out to. I'm happy to talk to anybody. I've got a meeting after this one where I'm going to be talking about different projects with different borrowers. So, anytime anybody wants to come to me with a project, I'm always willing to listen to them. Like I said, if you're interested in taking a COVID-19 recovery loan, we do have a little bit of money left. It is going fairly quickly.
So just reach out to me and let me know what your particulars are, where your business is, and we'll try to be as helpful as possible. From a paperwork perspective, we tried to cut down on the paperwork as much as possible. From the application perspective, aside from the business financials and the tax documents we need, in terms of the documents that you would have to fill out, at most it's like 11 pages. That's about it. And that's down from like 26. When we started this COVID loan program, I said, guys, we cannot have a 26 page application. We have to streamline this as much as possible. So we tried to make it as easy on me as possible. But other than that, I really want to thank you guys for allowing me to come on today and give this presentation. If anybody has any questions, you have my contact info. You can connect with me via LinkedIn. Happy to talk to you and facilitate conversation in the future.
All right, thank you.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much. Hope everyone